when it comes to pricing, how do you recommend people approach that, especially when they're starting out and then, as a part two, as they're developing and growing their skill set?
I actually spoke about this recently in a coaching call that we have in Canada. But when it comes to pricing, you want to price competitively. Because the truth is, a lot of you guys will get inbounds from these business owners and coaches and everything asking, oh, how much do you charge for this? But they're asking every other editor that you probably know of the same question. So that's why you want to price competitively. The more value, the more you increase your perceived value by building up case studies, having testimonials and clientele, that will give you more authority to charge premium prices. Like I said at the beginning, when you've worked with someone of high leverage like Iman Gaji, naturally you're expected to be charging more. Like if you had like 2 million subscribers and you were famous all around the world, naturally like people would expect me to be charging a lot more. When you look at my personal brand on Instagram, you wouldn't expect me to be charging $5 per edit.
But I'm curious, what was the thing that made it click for you that allowed the money to start coming to you based on the skills you have?
So when I was editing at a very high level and producing, like working my ass off, working like a horse, there's one thing that I noticed that I lacked, right? And that was a personal brand. There's no way for me to market myself. There was no way for me to increase my perceived value. People just saw me as an editor. I didn't have case studies to leverage. I didn't have testimonials to leverage. And no one could see the types of clients that I worked with, even though I worked with multiple 7 to 8 figure entrepreneurs. In their eyes, I was just as good as someone who was just beginning. That's the reason why I wasn't able to make as much money as I could have. But when I started my personal brand, and I started to post my content, I started to market myself properly, which again is probably the most important skill set you can learn as an editor. You can be the best editor in the world, but if you don't know how to market yourself, if you don't know how to position yourself, and if you don't know how to run a business, you're cooked. Because you're going to be trapped to that certain earning level where your perceived value is super low, right? That's where it all started. That's where I was able to start earning more because my perceived value increased. And that's when it clicked for me, Not only that, I was able to build an audience for myself based on the skill set that I worked on. I had people coming to me wanting to learn how to edit and everything like that. So with video editing, I learned that there was multiple avenues of monetization through clients and through teaching people how to edit. And that's how I came up with Canva as well. But yeah, that's essentially how everything clicked. It all started from my personal brand.
And even going back to the question of DMing, outreach, and actually getting in front of these people, you mentioned doing free samples, sending it over to them, posting stuff on your own page.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to actually grabbing someone's attention through the DMs, right? Especially if it's someone that you'd really like to work with, right? Maybe your dream 100 people. How do you actually approach that message? Do you always send a video to go with it? Do you always pitch your price? Do you just try to start a conversation? Like, what's the hook? Like, what are you doing to try to get a reply from them?
So in terms of with these guys who have crazy leverage, who are super rich and your dream client, right? They're probably not going to be in their DMs all day. They probably have appointment sessions for that, So a simple message will not cut, right? And the reason why is because they also don't have time if you try to have a conversation with them. Business owners, they don't have time to have conversations, especially if you're trying to sell to them, because they're being sold to every single day. That's why we go with a lead with value first approach, because again, like, we get their attention from the story notification. You know how you get that little bubble on Instagram when you get tagged in a story? We get their attention through their tagged section on Instagram, their normal notifications, and their messages, right? Because then they'll be able to see like our actual work. They'll be able to see us outreaching to them and everything. Because again, like an appointment setter or a VA is constantly scanning their DMs. You know, a VA might just open up your message and see that they're being sold to and just ignore it. You know, your DM's gonna get forgotten about. But again, don't be disheartened if they don't respond, right? So I'd advise you to just continue following up with them. You know, just a simple message saying, hey, something genuine. I made this free sample for you. Feel free to post it if you want, you know? And that's worked so well that I've had these guys take screenshots of my students' outreach, post it on their story and said, if you want to get clients, this is the best way to do it, you know? Because these guys are tired of getting sold to every single day. And that's why, like, it's probably the best outreach method to do right now. I'm going to call it the Katna method. You know, originally I called it the art of reciprocation, but it's a bit long. You know, but it's reciprocating the same value. You're giving them a free sample, they're going to give you their attention. So, yeah.
To check out the full episode with Josh, where he shares his story and reveals what it takes to sign 6- and 7-figure editing clients like the ones he's working with, click right here.